Hello, warriors. Welcome to the Warrior Enclave with Bebe and Toro, where we shatter the silence, tell our stories, and believe women. Today, we are talking about starting over. And this is a very important topic because I think that it is a common thread throughout the collective where, you get used to a certain situation. There is familiarity. There is resistance to change. And the thought of switching into something different or pivoting or changing your lane, brings up all these feelings of anxiety, of fear, of uncertainty. But it is something that, change is constant in life. If there's one thing that is constant in life, it's change. And so, we're here to tell our own stories or give our experience, with how we have started over at times in our lives.
And of course, give you guys, our people, our community, just, I'll say some sort of opportunity as well to do the same, give you the space to as well to take up space, in your lives, in your communities, amongst your own spheres of influence, if you will. And, in doing that, I hope that you see that, what it is that we're doing here, as much as it's something brave, it's something that is commendable, but it is totally doable by every woman. To be very, very honest, I feel like there's something that we all have that we're able to tap into and really, really bring forth and show forth our strength in the world and really prove that, we really can do bad all by ourselves, truly. So I'm so glad to be able to even delve into the topic for today, which is, like my sister already said, starting over. So, I think for most of you, hopefully you all watched our very first video where we introduced the Warrior Enclave to you guys and, just give a high level overview of what the channel is about and what's the kinds of things we'll be talking about on here. So if you did watch the video, you'll recall that I shared about my experience of leaving an abusive marriage, fleeing for dear life in the dead of the night with my 3 children and escaping something that was, truly, truly insidious and was trying to take me out, really. And, I'm so grateful to be seated here today, living a life that I never imagined that I would have, So I talk about, what it really means to start all over. And I can't even lie to you guys. It is one of the hardest things that I've ever done, but I have to truly admit that it's not something that I can say I wish I didn't do. To be honest, my life is so much better, so much more beautiful, so much richer. I'm filled with just such joy and gratitude about the life that I have now, and so I really just want to encourage you, do not ever let the fear of the unknown hold you back. I feel like it's truly a fallacy to choose the comfort of
The familiar chaos.
Exactly. To choose like the familiarity of, the known chaos in your life over striking out into the unknown to see what you would get. I feel like the universe certainly rewards bold actions, courageous moves, and you'll be surprised that
it'll meet you more than halfway.
All
you gotta do is take that step. A lot of people, or something that's out there that people say is, the devil, the devil. I'm sorry.
It's better than what?
Better than whatever, but I don't want to entangle with the devil. I don't want to even be in Satan's presence to begin with. So I don't want to know the devil. So let's just be putting that to the side and be going,
Yeah, for sure. So again, we've already said it. It's a fallacy to imagine that you would rather stick with the devil, than to strike out and see what you would find. Because I promise
the paradise that is possible out there.
I promise you that when you actually take that courageous move, you'll be surprised. You will fall into the life of your dreams. You'll be so shocked, and I'm certainly a living testimony of that. That one I can't even front. And to be fair, it's not that my life is perfect. In fact, from the outside looking in, most people might even be pitying me and be like, man, I can't even imagine having her kind of life. But as someone who is actually living my life, I can tell you this one for a fact, that I am so grateful, I am so honored, and I am so blessed to be who I am, to have the life that I have, and to have the opportunity actually to start all over, because I feel like prior to this point, I had been operating on a script that felt like was written for me, but wasn't really my own. Whether, for those of us that grew up in cultures like the Nigerian culture and other pretty traditional cultures like that, it feels like your life has already been planned out. When to go to school, the kinds of things you're allowed to study, the kind of religion you're allowed to have, the kinds of people you're allowed to marry, the things you're supposed to do, along that path.
Not to forget like the gendered layer on top of that culture, which then even restricts you and boxes you in even further. So like as a woman, you only have so much wiggle room. And you don't have to be in any box that anybody places you in. You don't have to be in any box at all. You should be free. You ought to be free. And, I think we all have that inner strength that we're able to tap into to liberate ourselves. Even if you're there with like chains and shackles around you, you can be free because freedom is right here.
I totally agree. And this is something that I know down to the core of my bones to be true, because I'm currently living it. This is my life. And each day I wake up putting one foot in front of the other and just, again, filled with gratitude that I have the opportunity to actually start over. And coming from where I'm coming from, I don't take it for granted, because too many women have lost and are losing their lives.
Perishing.
So I do have to say, as someone who is a living testimony of what it means to literally start all over again, this is something that I encourage to anyone who is dissatisfied with the life that they currently live, and they're unknowingly or sometimes even knowingly allowing the fear of the unknown to hold them back. I encourage you, sis, you can do this. Look at me. You can do this. If I can do it, you can definitely do it. And, I'm not even trying to be cliche here. We have it in us. And like my sister already said, the universe will meet you halfway.
It's timely that we're recording this video now because very recently, the legend, the great Tina Turner passed. And, she's one of many, 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 many examples of women and femmes in front of us who have shown us, demonstrated to us that, it really is never too late. This is a woman who, what she went through would likely destroy most. A lot of people could not handle the abuse that she suffered. And, she clawed her way out from that hell. She left. And she did start again. And in her leaving, it's not like she left and she left with money and left with opportunity. She left and lost everything that she ever built in her life prior. To her leaving. She was cleaning houses for money. She was on food stamps. She was taking care of her 4 children. She was living with a friend. Even after leaving, still being like stalked and oppressed and abused by her abuser. But she did not give up. And, at 45, there she was having her great big comeback and, the rest is history. And And so, that's just one of many examples. And, she's someone who's like in the public eye, but I'm sure we can look to even family members, aunts, mothers, grandmothers, women within our family, within our communities who have demonstrated as well that, see, just because you're born into this world and, is like, your places are arranged for you to chop breakfast, you can refuse. You can refuse and make your own meal.
I think the most important thing that I got from Tina Turner is really, you don't get to give up on you. You don't get to give up on yourself. It doesn't matter who has written you off. It doesn't matter who feels you don't have a right to start over. You don't get to give up on yourself. And when because again, I don't know why her story just touched me, but like in her not giving up on herself, she was able to pull other people along with her on that journey to recovery. Because as we know with abuse, it doesn't just affect you. It spills out over to the people that are most precious to you, your children, loved ones, And so in you taking responsibility over your journey, your path, your comeback, you'll be surprised how that impacts everyone else around you and how that rescues as well everyone else around you. So definitely you don't get to give up on you. Trust me. So in as much as we're here encouraging you to start all over, to take power back into your hands and, push forward with what all the possibilities of your life can be, I'm not going to just sit here and be, flapping my gums and thinking like, that is just enough. I think it's very, very important to give people a peek into my own life, my own journey, giving you the nitty gritty of what it is that I too am dealing with, what I've dealt with and what I am in fact still dealing with. So, for those of you who've listened to the podcast, you would know that this date it's it's a date that goes down in history as, the Freedom Day, the popular Freedom Day, which is the 19th of November, 2021. It's the day that I rescued myself and rescued my children from a life of misery and abuse. And that is a day that I would never ever forget. I probably should even get it tatted on my body somewhere. November 19th, 2021. And so just to give like a brief overview of how everything went down, we left and escaped back to Canada with my children.
From Nigeria
on the 19th of November 2021. My children and I escaped and fled for safety from Nigeria to Canada, Edmonton, Canada. We made our way down to Ottawa and we're based in Ottawa. And then from there, settling down, my boys were of preschool age and kindergarten age. So, doing all of that, life still had to continue for them. Their lives couldn't be held up because of, all the many different changes that had to happen when it comes to starting all over. So, and I'm so proud of how well they were able to just fall right back into routine, fall right back into normal life. They were so happy, so excited about their new life in Canada, meeting new friends, just exploring, all the beautiful, because those of you that know Nigeria, you just know just the constant giddy-bo of just existing in a country like Nigeria, the survival mode from morning till night. So I think even for them, the sense of just peace, of just calm, they're not living in an atmosphere of tension, all of that. So they had a smooth, beautiful transition, and I'm so proud of them because even if they hadn't, I would have had empathy for that. But I'm so proud of them that they were able to do that.
And it wasn't just Nigeria being a chaotic place as well. It was also the household that they were living in, which was one of like chaos and abuse as well. So that was layered on top of already the baseline gra of Nigeria.
For sure. And so that's why I even think it was even that much easier for them to to acclimatize, because like I'm not going to lie, this is what people don't understand about staying in abusive relationships. Your children get used to being in a chaotic environment, and you don't even see how it impacts them until you bring them out to a place of safety, until you bring them out to a place of peace, and you just see them relax in a way that they had never been able to relax before. You just see them blossom in a way that was capped from where they're coming from. You just see the freedom, the true, genuine peace and freedom that is bubbling up from their spirit. And to me, that was just such a pleasure. It's not that it was even easy on me, because like I said, I'm here, yes, I have the help and support of my sister. But ultimately it's on me, and I have 3 children, one that was breastfeeding round the clock. So, it wasn't the easiest on me, but it was the most worthwhile thing that I had ever done for them. Again, I do have to stress that when you stay in an abusive relationship, it's not only is it an abandoning of your own soul, it is also an abandoning of the people who depend on you too as well. And so for me, it was all the more powerful that I could almost right the wrong that existed before and correct the dynamic that existed before. So that was just perfect. We mention all the time as well, especially on the podcast, that when you leave an abusive relationship, it doesn't end there. To be honest, no matter how bad the abuse was when you were in that relationship, the moment you leave, prepare for it to go from 100 to 1,000. And this is no ounce of exaggeration here. You will be met from all sides, because number one, these are people, especially when your abuser comes from a family dynamic
that enables them,
that
created them and enables
them, that
is
also abusive. Expect to be hit from all sides by your abuser and their people, especially their family. And I'm not even going to lie, usually, especially their mother. I'm not joking. The trope of the evil mother-in-law. This is where you will really, really see it. This is where the shege and the bastard that we're talking about will really, really come out. So prepare for that. Like when you leave an abusive relationship, this is where it really goes haywire, really. And so for me personally, that is also what I experienced, in that, all the lies that were coming out about me, all the, things that I had supposedly done, things I had supposedly said, I could not believe the lies and the accusations.
Straight up fabrications.
I was
outlandish.
I was so shocked. And, to the point where sometimes I'm just so grateful that I am who I am, and I was just living my life the way I was living it. Because when these people were going around to spread their lies, and I was not in the room to defend myself, I could not stop giving just glory to God that the people they were trying to spread the lies to were the ones fighting them. That no, this is, I know this person. This thing what they're telling me is a lie. I don't believe it. I couldn't. When the news came back to me, I honestly could not believe how much people took up for me to dispel these lies that were being spread about me. But of course, when you're dealing with abusive people, it never ends there. Even going out to the media, playing it out, out there, for people, especially when, you come from a certain family that, might be known or might have some form of influence, So trying to pull in other members of my family, trying to discredit them or throw, I forget what you call it, trying to, is it besmirch or besmirk?
Besmirch, yeah.
Trying to besmirch their name, So it was certainly hurtful for me to have to remain silent, watching these people do all of that against people that I love, against me in particular. And so that was certainly very tough. All of this is now then piled on to the severe abuse I was then enduring through the court system.
Yeah, the legal arena is another place that they will flex, so to speak. Yeah.
Reading, I kid you not, reading the processes, the divorce petitions that were filed, like the things, the paperwork that these people have put together, it was nauseating. Not like to me as the victim, but to even other people, it was nauseating. And for me, I was just like, as they say in Nigeria, killer. The only thing I said is, Joe, I don't want to marry again. I don't want to marry. Is it by force? But just even that simple act is so radical. It is so, it is so like the very effrontery really to just take your power back. The people that were benefiting from you not being in your full power would do everything possible to break you, to wrestle that power back from you. And that's why, to me, when I see women in abusive relationships, or anytime I have the opportunity to help or to give advice, I don't even try and sugarcoat what it is that they need to be prepared for in terms of. And that's why we call you guys warriors on this channel, because you are going to take up the battle. But believe me, you have already won. You will fight and you will finish well. Trust me. But just know that battle, you are going to take it up. You have to be ready. You can't run from the battle. So this is, I've already told you, the first level was the what do they call it? The smear campaign, where they try and, talk about you and blah, 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 and say all sorts of lies and everything. And the second level is the legal arena, usually. Because usually if you had been in a long-term relationship, most likely you would have had children. Even if you've not had children, maybe, assets had been merged. So just trying to just separate that, I've known women personally that have given up properties, lands, just because the stress that these people would try and use to break you, to be honest, it was not even worth it to just give it all up, just to get out. So that's where the legal arena comes into play. Even if a lot of them, their claims are baseless claims, but what they want to rely on is the slow process of how the wheels of justice turn slowly. So they will file every petition fileable. Even if the judge looks at it and throws it out, for them, they are satisfied because they have probably wasted 3 months, 6 months, resources, a lawyer filing this, a lawyer filing that in response. So they are satisfied. Even if it's baseless, it's useless, they know the judge is going to throw it out, they are more than satisfied to file it because it wastes everybody's time. I saw a statistic in the US that it can take a 5-year marriage, it can take 6 years to now get a divorce. So you'll be trying to divorce this person for longer than you've been married.
Oh yeah. I actually know someone who was married for, I think, less than 2 years, and it took that same amount of time or even more to finally have it all be done.
Imagine.
It's wild. And yeah, they count on like the slow process of the court system. They also count on inherent misogyny there as well. A lot of people are under the impression that the family courts are there to, serve the best interests of the woman. No. It's actually like a meat grinder for women. You will go there and your jaw will drop, shocked at like what is going on there. Guys, the patriarchy has its fingers in everything. And one thing that I think is really, really disgusting, especially when it comes to this whole, like, the legal arena, is how these abusers don't balk or like they have no scruples about weaponizing your children against you as well.
I think for me, my saving grace is the fact that my children are really young. No courts is going to drag children 5 and under to testify. But when in the research that I've seen, teenagers, like, one parent forcing the children to lie against their other parent, and it's usually the abusing parent that does this. Not even the victim that has every right to to expose the abuser.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even do that, but usually it's the abusing parents that wants to put their children on display and force them to say this and say that and say this against the victimized parent.
Yeah, even like your children were really young, and so they couldn't use them in the sense of having them like get up on the stand and testify against you, but they still weaponize them against you by coming at your motherhood, by coming at, you know, saying that you were incapable of caring for your own children who you birthed and have been, you know, who are still alive.
That was just even the funny thing, because since my children were born, I'm the one that's been taking care of them.
Yeah, primary caregiver, and here they are, clothed, fed, alive, going to school, doing all that, but then they will still come out
all
and
of a
try
sudden,
to...
just because I've now left the marriage, then it's all this whole, she's not a good mother, she's
mother.
not... And you know the funny thing, because as you know, all these abusive people, not one diaper would ever change in their life. Oh. Not one hug, not one anything, not one, they never bring that emotional love and support. Forget it, if they're even bringing the material self.
That's if they are.
If they're able, because a lot of them, they're usually financially abusing their family too. But they're the ones that always have the biggest mouths to talk about somebody's parenting. When they don't know how to ever be a parent in this life, and it's not a curse. They're the ones that swore for themselves like that. They can't do it. But these are just the things that, I mean, where even for me, I just know that there are just some things that are sacred. I've left a marriage, right? And as much as I believe this person to be a shitty parent, they don't know what they're doing, they're absentee, they're not there. But I know for a fact that it is not my place to make that kind of decision on I can't force that kind of decision on my children. So that's an arena that I always say I would never play in. I would never be the one to hold my children back from knowing who their father is or knowing who his people are and things like that. Because in truth, and again, I'm not swearing for anybody, but it always casts. Their behavior always shows. The children will grow up and they will see and know what is light and what is darkness. Nobody has to tell them anything. Do you get what I mean? But because these abusive people, they're always running from themselves, so they try and get ahead. They imagine that you would try and hold the children back from them.
So that's projection, because that's exactly what they would do.
That's what they would do. And that's now, and you know, I'm glad you've now brought that in. So this is now the third layer of what I am now experiencing. Because in fleeing to Canada the way that I did, it set off like a legal blah, if you will, where it now became a matter of jurisdiction. You know, I fled to Canada, myself and my children are Canadian citizens, but because my children hadn't been living in Canada, Canada was hesitant to enter or to take over the jurisdiction of deciding matters regarding the breakdown of my marriage to my ex. And so this was something that was long and drawn out for about 9 months in Canada. A lot of money was spent on legal fees, a lot of time, a lot of resources, full survival mode, you know, dealing with, like I said, lies and, you know, all sorts of aspersions that were just cast, you know, fabrications, like dispelling that, providing proof for this, providing proof for that. You know, I put up the biggest fight that I could, and that's something that I would never ever knock. I put up the biggest fight that I could. But ultimately, I was bucking against a system that even had nothing to do with me. We all know, you know, like my sister already said, the family court system in Canada is already something that it isn't the most favorable
to women
as one would think.
And then add the extra layer of race
of being a person that looks like me.
I am, what will I say? Will I say displeased? Not surprised, but white supremacy going white supremacy. And Canada definitely did their thing in that regard.